Hey, what's up guys? UrAvgWarGamer is back with another video of World of Warships. And in this video, I'm going to be taking a look at top 5 most powerful premium battleships that you can play right now in the ranked battles in the Silver League. Now, I have divided at least, the premiums and the tech-free battleships in 2 videos. The first video is going to be specifically for the premium battleships only because I think there are so many good battleship choices that you can pick for the tech frees as well as for the premiums, and since I want to explain them why you should play these battleships, hence the reason why I have just divided this video into 2 sections. So the first section is going to be obviously for the premiums. So in this video I will be explaining that why you should pick these battleships in particular and why I really like them to play if I would be playing in Silver League. Now right now I am in the Gold League, but certainly I have played some battleships that would be very, very powerful, and I will be explaining that in the video. So if you do find the video very useful and very good, please like, comment, and even subscribe. And let's talk about our number 5th premium battleship that I love to talk about, which is Karl XIV Johan. I think this battleship is amazing for the ranked battles. There are many reasons that I like Karl XIV Johan. You can actually first of all buy this ship for doubloons if you have doubloons in the first place, if you want to spend some money. But if you don't, well, then you just don't look at it, because even though it's very strong, I highly recommend not to spend any money in the game. But even then, if you are interested in Karl XIV Johan, well, there are some good strengths. Now, the best thing about the Karl XIV Johan that it has very decent HP. 76,550 HP with the flag that Wargaming has recently added, Charlie Kilo. That is pretty decent HP. Also, another thing about the Karl XIV Johan that stands out as compared to other battleships at tier 9 is going to be the concealment. The concealment can go as low as 10.6 or 10.5 kilometer, which is absurdly low considering it's a battleship at tier 9. I mean, there are not a whole lot of battleship that has really insane levels of concealment. And even though I haven't built Karl XIV Johan for concealment, like I still can apply the captain skills to improve it. You can already see that the concealment is 11.7 kilometer. The speed is good at 32 knots with the speed flag, which I would say is pretty decent, as well as it has some torpedoes, which are Holland torpedoes with 1.6 kilometer detect with 13.5 kilometer range. And you have, I would say, how many torpedoes on each side? You have 8 torpedoes on each side, and you can just send them quickly with a very good reload time of 86 seconds. So with the very good firing angles for the torpedoes, you can just send tons of torpedoes onto the battleships that are pushing towards you with this amazing concealment that can help you to just stealth torp if you want to do that. So this combo with 12 guns that you also have can do pretty well against at least cruisers, at least the heavy cruisers or the cruisers that have vulnerable citadel. You can smash them with these 305mm guns, which is an upside, but also feels like a downside simply because the caliber is low. But the reload time is pretty okay, 22 seconds of reload time if you build with the reload mod at the number 6 slot. And I would say Karl XIV Johan would be extremely powerful, at least for that. Also, you have Hydro. Now, Hydro is something that really stands it out compared to the recently released battleship Njord. Now, that is also a dockyard battleship, pan-European battleship that has some differences, and even then, Njord might look like to be a lot much more better. I would certainly give a lot much more edge to the Karl XIV Johan simply because you have better HP. You have 76,000 HP compared to Njord's 67,000. So survivability is going to be higher, although the Njord does have improved cooldown in heals, which you can also say that it is good. But I would say more base HP is going to be a lot much more valuable to me. And also the ability to spot destroyers if they are very close, and since it's a ranked battles, able to kill the destroyers out with the help of the Hydro is a lot much more potent and valuable. And especially Karl XIV Johan also comes up with some improvement in secondaries. I mean, if you build it for secondaries, the secondaries can also do some work. And it does have a really good fire chance with 14 of these secondary shells that you can throw onto a target. Like, you have 14 guns. I'm quite sure that it's going to be like 7 on each side. I'm not exactly sure about that. But you have a lot of secondaries. Your range can go as more than 10 kilometer, but again, it is still very, very useful against destroyers if they get spotted, and the hydro will help you a lot. The guns might be underwhelming because of the caliber, but I still felt it to be good. So you have a lot of tools going for it. Your concealment is good. Your torpedoes have good damaging and power against other battleships. That I would say it really sits comfortably for me at number 5. And I would highly recommend to play Karl XIV Johan in the ranked battle if you do have one. Now at number 4, a recently, I would say very recent, at least maybe more than a year ago, that this battleship has gotten released. I'm talking about the Pan-Asian Sun Yat Sen, and I really like this battleship at number 4. There are many reasons for this premium battleship to exist, in my personal opinion, for the ranked battles. Now, why Sun Yat Sen? Well, it has first of all, it has 6 guns. 6 guns that has 1.9 sigma, which means that the accuracy should be very good. But improving the accuracy even further, Wargaming has decided to give Sun Yat Sen the battle cruiser dispersion with Kremlin guns. It's not Sovietsky Soyuz guns. I mean, Sovietsky Soyuz at tier 9. I mean, first of all, if I give you some perspective or context, well, Sun Yat Sen have Sovietsky Soyuz hull. So it's going to be very, very tanky. You have 60mm deck armor, the side armor is also 60mm, and the belt is also very, very tanky, which means that this Sovietsky Soyuz hull that you have is going to be extremely good against bow in. I mean, I would say when you are trying to take on cruisers, you should bow in, and then you can farm a lot of potential damage. And that's the reason why I love Sun Yat Sen. The HP pool is very good at 84,000. The torpedo protection is pretty good at 35%. And also you have Kremlin guns, just like I said before. Not Sovietsky Soyuz guns, but Kremlin guns with a Pan-Asian tag on it, which is, I would say, pretty absurd. And with these 6 guns, you can smash cruisers with this 30mm overmatch at tier 9. That is really, really powerful. You have battle cruiser dispersion, 1.9 sigma, Kremlin guns, and the DPM is not that bad. You have 26 seconds of base reload time on Sun Yat Sen, and then on top of that you have this insane tankiness of the Sovietsky Soyuz hull. Kind of makes it very, very good in tanking a whole lot of damage from the enemy team, and you can just do that by just bowing in, because that's where it's going to be pretty powerful. The Sun Yat Sen does not have like insanely big superstructure, although, I mean, you can still get farmed, but a lot of the shells that the cruisers will hit, they will hit onto the deck, doing 0 damage because they will just shatter. And then you also have very tanky overall hull, makes it very, very powerful in doing its defensive capabilities, and also the aggressive, or I would say the offensive capabilities are also very, very good with these Kremlin guns. And because of the accuracy, I really like Sun Yat Sen. At close range, it's going to be even devastating. It's not going to be about that. Even at long ranges, at 19.2 kilometer, you will going to have not so good dispersion that you find on Sovietsky Soyuz or Kremlin. The Russian typical battleships does have this built-in dispersion ellipse, where they will be having worse dispersion at long ranges and very, very good dispersion at close ranges. Sun Yat Sen is not gonna be having issues like that because it does have, I would say, British or American dispersion ellipse with the improved battlecruiser dispersion and 1.9 sigma, which I would emphasize again because that is the biggest strength of the Sun Yat Sen. Although if you show full flat broadside to the battleships, you can get smashed. There's no doubt about that. But even then, with the concealment, that is, I would say, average. I won't say that it is impressive. I would still really highly regard Sun Yat Sen if you do have it in your port. Although it is expensive and available only for doubloons in the armory, I would love to see Sun Yat Sen for coal or maybe even for steel because it is that good to play in ranked battles. Now at number 3, I would say, in my personal opinion, I mean, all of the battleships that I have shown you in this video are my personal opinions for the best battleships that you can play in ranked battles, so that should be keep in mind. And Missouri also seems to be very, very strong, a very potent battleship that you can play in this ranked battles. Now, why Missouri? Missouri released many years ago. Now, it does not have improved credit modifier in any way. I mean, the reason why Missouri was very special is that it has the best credit modifier at tier 9 in the entire game. Now, after 2021, they have come up with this, I don't know what sort of event that has make wargaming giving you the Missouri, but after that they have nerfed the credit modifier to the levels of tier 9 premium battleships or whatever you call it. And now we have Missouri with radar. Missouri with 406mm guns, 9 of them, with pretty decent accuracy, just like Iowa, 1.9 Sigma, and you can also slot the artillery plotting room mod 2, improving its main battery shell dispersion by -11%, makes it still pretty viable in the ranked battles. Now, it does not have improved HP healing potential like in the case of Iowa and Montana or the North Carolina, but even then, the radar is a huge value that you can have against destroyers. If you want to have a, I won't say it's a cruiser. I mean, it's definitely a battleship caliber guns. If you want to play a battleship, but having the really good radar consumable like radar, like it's extremely gonna be good against destroyers, and cruisers can only slot them usually, the Americans or the Russians, but you are going to get it in the Missouri. Just makes it still better than many other battleships in the game. I mean, if you're able to kill the destroyers while having the HE loaded, or maybe the guns even AP loaded, you can definitely change the tide of the game in the ranked battle, and that's the reason why I really recommend you guys the Missouri. HP pool, I would say it's pretty much similar, like on the case of Iowa. Dispersion you can get is also pretty consistent. I find the Missouri and Iowa dispersion to be very, very good, even though you don't have like 457mm guns like in the case of Sony Yat Sen, but then even though they will still do wonders. Onto the broadside cruisers, the overmatch is there. It's not like 30mm overmatch, but it's still 27mm overmatch that I would say is going to be very viable against many cruisers at tier 9, because most cruisers does have 27mm armor plating. The speed, however, compared to Sun Yat-sen is better at 34.7 knots with the speed flag, and then your concealment can go as down to like 12.7 kilometer or something like that, which I would say is pretty decent. It's better than obviously the Sun Yat-sen. And radar utility is just what makes it for me at number 5. Otherwise, I could have easily rated Iowa, but I think the tech tree ships are going to be for the next, or I would say the other video, which I will be explaining later. But Missouri, with these guns, good performing guns, good HP, and obviously the radar consumable, makes it pretty much for me at number 3. At number 2, I don't think so that I just miss out this premium battleship Georgia. Now, it's a rare battleship like Missouri, but I should mention it because it is way too strong for the ranked battles. Simply because you have the same characteristics, almost the same characteristics like you find on Sun Yat-sen. The reload time is very much similar. You have some special AP, which you can see here, that does a lot of damage, like 15k alpha that you find on Georgia and even Ohio, because Ohio also have the same guns. So it's kind of like tier 10 guns that you have, like 457mm on tier 9 battleship. It just makes it really good, right? You have battlecruiser dispersion, 1.8 Sigma, at least compared to Sun Yat-sen. It does have slightly worse Sigma, but here comes the better part for the Georgia, and that is, again, the American battleship gets artillery plotting room mod 2, making its dispersion tighter compared to many other battleships at this tier 9. And because of that, it kind of gets very, I would say, slight bit of an edge that you can get from, compared to Sun Yat-sen. I just like that the Georgia guns will just punch very hard with more alpha and also have very good HE with very good fire chance with these 6 guns. It's very close in comparison to Sun Yat-sen. Both guns will perform amazing, but Georgia has something else that makes better than Sun Yat-sen. It has the speed. I think the speed in today's meta is, I would say, the very important thing. If you want to reposition from one place to another, the speed makes up for it. Like, it has the biggest role in doing that. And Georgia does have a lot of speed going for it. Now, you have 39 knots of speed if you use the speed boost. Like, the speed boost have 15% maximum speed improvement if you use it, and the base speed is already 34.7 knots like you find on the Iowa class battleships, and that is really amazing thing, right? You have better main battery firing range. For example, in the case of Sun Yat-sen, you have a bit of a weird firing range, only limited to 19.2 kilometer, but Georgia does have the spotter plane and also have fast cooldown heals like you find on Massachusetts and Ohio, and also have secondaries. And that's the reason why you have so many boxes of gimmicks in a single battleship that just makes Georgia a fine battleship. I would say a slightly better battleship overall in terms of versatility, and the utilities that it has, and the some sort of, I would say, defense characteristics with the short cooldown time that you don't find on Sun Yat-sen. Even though the armor profile is way better, like your armor is amazing on Sun Yat-sen. Like your armor with the deck armor is just too tanky. Honestly, it's just too tanky. So use hull is amazing for that. But even then, the Georgia does have the fast cooldown on heals, and you still have 38mm sights, which does help against cruiser HE shells, at least, unless anyone shooting like Alaska or maybe Kronstadt with HE that can just easily full pen the Georgia with 51mm plating, 51mm pen. That could be an exception, but even then, the guns are powerful, the speed is amazing, the concealment can get down to like 13-ish kilometers. Just makes Georgia an extremely powerful opponent even for Sun Yat-sen, because Sun Yat-sen will have a very difficult time to reposition itself, but once it's completely bowing and you have a very vulnerable sort of broadside. Also, the Georgia does have this same weakness, but again, Georgia is a lot much more faster, a lot much more better overall because of the secondaries improvement that it also has. You can improve it to 11 kilometers if you wish to, and the secondaries does have really good accuracy even without building it for this skill, which is manual secondary battery aiming. So because of that, I really love Georgia. The secondaries on DDs could be very good at medium to close ranges, and you will get a lot of benefit when you are playing Georgia with these very good punching guns at number 2. At number 1, I think Musashi is still going to be extremely powerful. In fact, it is the most overpowered battleship that you can play at tier 9. You have the Yamato hull that you are getting on a tier 9 battleship slot. HP pool is like that of Yamato. It's also getting 100k threshold cross because of the recently added Charlie Killer, which kind of makes it absurd. No battleship at tier 9 does have more than 100k HP. Only Musashi has 100k HP or more than 100k HP at tier 9. Your torpedo protection is unlike any other battleship in the game at 55% because it's a Yamato hull. And then you also have Yamato class guns with 460mm caliber guns that can be just absolutely filthy if any battleship is pushing towards you. Like, you can just simply overmatch the battleship's 32mm bow or stern, or even maybe the entirety of the hull if it's a French or maybe the British battleship. And that's the reason why Musashi would be an absolute nightmare if any battleship thinking of pushing into Musashi, and the Musashi able to just I would say protect its cheeks, because the cheeks are the big weaknesses, or I would say one of the weaknesses that it kind of has inherited from Yamato. But even then, this HP, how can you take down this HP with this very, very good, amazing armor, I would say, for tier 9 battleship? Like, you have 57mm deck armor. So, I mean, Sun Yat-sen just, literally not able to get close in terms of comparison, because your HP is just way too much, and then your guns are way too powerful. The penetration is way too good, like, at least at certain ranges compared to the Sun Yat-sen. Your torpedo protection is amazing. You have, I would say, not the best of the concealment, but look at the armor and the tankiness that the Musashi has. Basically Yamato at tier 9. I don't think so. I have to maybe explain it more than that. And that's the pure reason why it could be an absolutely insane premium tier 9 rare battleship that you cannot get it right now. Unless you have it. If you do have it, you should play it. I think other than the destroyers that can simply spot you and farm you down because of very, very slow, sluggish speed and turning circle and rudder shift, you still gonna be doing pretty good things. You can always switch to spotting aircraft since there is no fear of aircraft carriers. The biggest weakness of the Musashi is literally the poor, like, garbage anti-defense and garbage airstrike capabilities, which they also recently have buffed it to, like, what, 10 kilometer instead of 5 kilometers, while reducing the alpha damage of the bombs from, I would say 4,000 to 2500, which I would say kind of buffed the Musashi a lot against submarines. And hence the reason why, with exactly Yamato hull with 1.8 sigma, I just did not able to give you a comparison with the accuracy of the guns, but here it is. Yamato has 2.1 sigma, Musashi has 1.9 sigma, and even then, that sigma is not that big of a downside because you are playing it at tier 9 with these exact same Yamato guns. That is nuts. If you don't understand it, you have to play it at tier 9, and then you will eventually find out that the battleships that you will be playing at tier 9 are tier 9, but this is a tier 10 hull. That's basically can explain Musashi. So yeah, play it out the Musashi and you will have, I would say, a bit too much edge over many other ships in the game. Like even the cruisers will have a very difficult time farming you down to that, because that's how Musashi is at tier 9. And with the top 5 list that I have personally recommend you guys, I want to also recommend you these honorable mentions that I would say are also very, very viable in the rank battles. I'm going to be taking a look at the Illinois first, because Illinois is one of the most unique battleships that you can get at tier 9. In fact, it's pretty insanely unique. You have Des Moines guns, 203mm caliber guns on a battleship hull, which kind of feels like anemic in the first place, but then you started to see that the reload time is terrifyingly good. It is so good that, I mean, the biggest weakness of the battleship is always going to be the fires, and your cruiser DPM that you get on the Illinois with 12 guns, Des Moines guns with 14% fire chance, means that it is gonna be a big threat if they try to push into the Illinois. You have the armor like that of an Iowa class battleship, like 38mm armor, side armor, deck armor, and the bow is also 32mm, which means that unlike Des Moines that can simply going to get overmatched if he mispositioned, Illinois will just gonna tank you straight through without just going to get lol penned, or I would say overmatched. Yeah, your superstructure can be vulnerable and can be found, but even then, your 68,000 HP at least is way better than many other cruisers, if I can say a tier 9. In fact, it's a battleship hull, so I cannot say that it is a cruiser hull or anything like that. And then you have 12 guns, just like I said, Des Moines DPM, almost a Des Moines DPM, and you have very, very good reload time, and then you can also improve the accuracy if you want to, because I think it has battlecruiser dispersion. I'm not exactly sure on that, but you have very good dispersion already, but you can improve it if you want to, which I would say I would recommend. I would not really like the main battery mod 3 because I want tighter dispersion, even though it might have a lot of shells and a battlecruiser dispersion, whatever it is that you can get on Illinois. I still like it. Now you can improve the range if you want to, or you can always even go for the main battery mod 2. I would say the main battery mod 2 would be very much highly recommended on Illinois. I mean, for the memes you can increase the range, but I don't think so though. At 21.4 kilometers, the Des Moines guns are going to get, I would say, hittable, or I would say you can able to have a lot of shells hitting onto that target. So yeah, I won't recommend you that, but even then, the concealment, the guns, the speed is also, I would say, very good. You can improve the speed if you want to, and you can go almost 34.1 knots, which I would say is very fast for a battleship like that. And you also have a good concealment. You can improve the concealment if you want to. It can go as low as 12 point something kilometer. Again, very, very good concealment for these 12 guns that will just gonna burn down battleships, cruisers, and destroy us pretty hard at this honorable mention. Another battleship that I would say is going to be an honorable mention, and that is, you can already see that it's Bajie. Now Bajie is another rare battleship. You can get it from the Journey to the West premium containers. Maybe they will be launching soon, so you have some sort of access to that. But what makes it pretty special, it's a Izumo hull. Like, it's a tier 9 Izumo that you can grind or maybe play at tier 9 for the IGN Tech Tree line. It's basically the same hull that you can get also in the Bajie. Izumo hull, basically same guns like Izumo, which means that it has bonkers penetration and very, very insane shell velocity, which is a huge advantage that you're getting from Izumo. But here comes the thing which makes it better than Izumo. It has better sigma from Izumo. It has 0.1 sigma better, which makes it 2.1 versus Izumo's 2.0, with slightly worse reload time from 30 to 32 seconds. So even then, I still like Bajie. This premium battleship, because of this Izumo hull, is still very tanky. 57mm deck armor means, and very small superstructure. This superstructure is definitely a lot smaller than you can think of. I mean, many much, I would say, smaller than other ships out there, at least at tier 9. And that's the reason why I like the Bajie guns. The Bajie has improved firing range at 25.4 kilometers, which again kind of makes it a lot better than Izumo's. I would say 20 kilometer, 21 kilometer. I'm not exactly sure of that. But yeah, your guns with better dispersion because of the overall Sigma improvement makes Bajie pretty interesting. The guns have amazing shell velocity and the penetration is pretty good. So I feel it to be something that you should play at the honorable mentions at tier 9. The speed is going to be a bit worse, slow. The detection is also not something that I would say very impressive. But even then, the guns are impressive. These will overmatch cruisers because of 410mm guns like you find on Izumo, but certainly slightly better dispersion because of the 0.1 Sigma buff that you get on the Bajie. Makes for me a special battleship to play in the ranked battles. Another honorable mentions that I would say is going to be this tier 9 Spanish battleship, the Victoria. Now, Victoria is also one of the, I would say, really nice battleships to play for the ranked battle, simply because you have an F key that can just give you double the salvo with worse reload time if you use it. But look at the interval between individual shots, 1.76 seconds. So you can have 2 bursts with a battleship AP volley that you can do with 1.9 Sigma that it has. Like, it's very good Sigma with 381mm guns. So battleship caliber guns, insane 2 burst that you can do on broadside, while slightly worse alpha in return is something that just makes Victoria insane against broadsides. And then to compensate for the worst reload time at 46.6 seconds, UrAvgWarGamer at least have decided to give main battery reload booster to compensate this really bad main battery reload time nerf that will happen when you use the F key. And with the main battery reload booster, you could have an action time of 30 seconds while making the F key reload time, I would say, a lot much more better overall. So it can go from 46 to 30 seconds because of the only 33.3% main battery reload time buff for 30 seconds. So that is really nice. You have spotter plane, your range is very good at 24 kilometers, and you do have heals. This F key is an amazing perk to have on a Victoria, and I find it really nice. In fact, so nice that I have to mention this battleship. Now, your torpedo protection is also pretty good, but again, one thing to mention, if you find destroyers, well, you can make their life hard with the F key for sure. If you find any cruiser or battleship that will show broadside maybe at some point in the ranked battles, whenever you're playing this ship, it will make you feel very good. Once you use the F key, I'm telling you, you can just chunk them so hard with this F key that it kinda gets into the honorable mentions. And I would say another battleship that I would highly recommend is going to be the Kearsarge. I think this is an amazing, very powerful battleship, but not for everyone. Why Kearsarge for the honorable mention? Simply because of its very high HP at 88,000. 12 guns that are very accurate with 1.9 Sigma, and obviously the dispersion slot that you get on the battleships, American battleships, just makes it very consistent, even though these are North Carolina guns. But on top of that, you have an access to something which not a whole lot of battleship will have access at tier 9, and that is the HE Attack Aircraft Squadron. You can spot destroyers, battleships, and cruisers for your own self if you hover around them. And that is a huge, amazing advantage that you can get. And I mean, these rockets are 15 of them, and these are tiny teams. And 15 rockets that you can pump onto a battleship, you can deal 20k drop, 20k damage onto the broadside battleship. And then on top of that, you have 12 guns. That is a nightmare for a battleship if he pushes. And remember, if you switch to HE, you shoot them, you set a fire, the DCP, and then you come up with those 15 devastating rockets. You do 20k damage if it's unsaturated, and you can get double perma fires because of the fire chance that it also has to be 33%. 68mm pen, so the penetration is not going to be an issue. There's not going to be any shatter whatsoever. So Kearsarge is also a beast in ranked battles. Your maneuverability sucks. Your armor kind of sucks. Your armor has a huge cancer here. Like, look at that superstructure. That's gonna be a lot of damage that they can pump against this poor Kearsarge. So at medium to close ranges, you're gonna be pretty terrible. And the only way to play Kearsarge is to snipe at long ranges, or maybe push at the late stages in medium ranges is something that can makes Kearsarge pretty shiny, good battleship. Your armor is good with 38mm, but just like I said, this armor is bad. And here's the reason why. I would say because CV gameplay is not for every player in the game. In fact, it's only for very small amount of players, and hence the reason why the Kearsarge is not going to be in this list. Although I would love to put it into this list for sure, because it is really good, like a battleship, but also really good like a carrier. But you are having both of the perks in a hybrid battleship here, which is Kearsarge, which is amazing. I don't think so I can explain it more than that. You have the best of the CVs, you have the best of the battleship, and you're getting it on Kearsarge. Easily makes it into the honorable mentions for sure. With that said, I will end the video. I hope you like the whole top 5 list for the premium battleships only. I will make a tech tree battleship list as well, so don't worry about that. There are so many very strong battleships that I would have to make a different video on that. So just keep that in mind. And I will be talking to you guys later with the top 5 most powerful tech tree battleships. So stay tuned for that. And thank you guys for watching.